Hi there. Today I'm going to share with you what I believe is our ancestral human diet. Hi, I'm Jen. I'm a holistic nurse and I'm here to help you heal yourself, expand your consciousness, and become more of who you really are. So it feels important to share about this because our bodies and the food we eat are literally the foundation of our experience here. Except for a few very unique breatharians on planet Earth, if you want to live and you're human, you need to eat. And if you want to live well, you need to eat well to thrive. In my opinion and experience, it's really hard to live your dreams and expand your life if you aren't getting the nutrients you need, and even harder if your body is in a state of stress, disease, inflammation, chronic illness, which is the case for most people these days. This is really dear to my heart because my daughter and I were really sick for a few years after mold and antibiotics messed with our immune systems. So I went on a really deep exploration to try to figure out how to really repair our health. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, is known to say, all disease begins in the gut. There is so much information out there about food on the internet. You can find information about every diet, what food is good, what food is bad, what's going to be the miracle cure. And I know I got really overwhelmed by all that information. I had no idea what was right for us, and honestly ran into a lot of situations where even the good healthy foods didn't work. So we also live in this incredible moment in time where we can have access to foods from all over the world at our fingertips via the internet. And this is something really unique in this moment. So in this journey, I explored a ton of different diets, including the eczema diet, the autoimmune protocol, the medical medium diet, the GAPS nutritional protocol. I explored juicing and fermentation and raw foods, and I even went so far as to explore the carnivore diet. So this was helpful to a degree, but a lot of that information is based on like Western biochemical understanding of how food works, like something has lots of vitamin C or whatever. And I really appreciated also the Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic perspective, which is looking at food more from like an elemental perspective of something is warming or cooling, and they work on different organs, and yet that didn't really put the whole puzzle together for me. I think what helped me the most was going back in time a bit to explore what our ancestors used to eat. And to discuss that, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Weston A. Price. Dr. Weston A. Price was a dentist who lived between like the mid 1800s and the mid 1900s. And right at the turn of the 1900s, at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, he noticed more people coming into his dental practice and having issues that he had never really seen before, like lots of cavities, crooked teeth, narrow dental arches, and lots of problems. He was wondering, what is going on? It was a really unique time in history because airplanes and cameras had just been invented. And it was also unique because it was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, when people were beginning to eat processed foods, canned foods, industrial seed oils, and more white sugar and flour than any humans ever had before this. So think about that for a second. Humans evolved over hundreds of thousands, millions of years. Some people say we became human in these bodies that we have now about 4 million years ago. And it's only been in the last 150 years that people are eating these industrial processed foods that were literally just invented in the last 150 years. So when you consider chemicals and toxins as another added element, I've heard it said that 10,000 new chemicals have been basically invented or created and put into the food, the water, and the soil in the last 120 years that human bodies have never had to process before. While our bodies are incredibly resilient and self-healing, we are literally taking part in a very big experiment that is pushing our bodies and minds to the limit. Back when Dr. Price was exploring, it was unique also because there were still traditional and indigenous people around the world who were still eating their native diet, that were still eating the way that their ancestors had been eating for hundreds of thousands of years. So he decided to visit them. And he noticed overall, when he visited these people, no matter where he went in the world, they had broad faces, they had generally sturdy bodies and strong physiques and straight teeth. And I think in his noticing, he noticed less than 1% of teeth had cavities on them. So this was a big difference than the people that he was seeing in his dental clinic. And he got really curious, like, what are these people eating and what makes it different than the people that I'm seeing back home? The traditional Swiss people in the high altitudes, in the high mountains, were eating a lot of dairy, rye bread, potatoes, and cabbage. And they would eat meat, but probably more sparingly, like once a week. The traditional Gaelic people in Scotland, it's like this cold, barren island. They ate fish, oats, and whole grains, traditionally prepared breads, and shellfish. He visited the Eskimos, which he considered to be the last example of Stone Age people. He said they had broad, beautiful teeth and excellent health. They ate foods high in vitamins and minerals. They ate caribou, kelp, berries, fresh fish, and organs of large sea animals. They ate seal oil. He went to Alaska, which also is this barren, frozen landscape without fruits and vegetables. And he noticed that when explorers would go there, if they didn't take like fruit or some form of vitamin C, they would develop scurvy. But these people survived eating adrenal glands and organs of moose and caribou for vitamin C. They also had well-formed facial and dental arches. He went to the South Pacific, this warm tropical environment, and noticed they were eating a lot of shell and scale fish, plant roots, and tropical fruits. He visited Africa and traveled all over Africa and noticed that in general, these tribal groups of people were eating dairy products, fish, some root vegetables and eggs, and even cow blood. He went to Peru, and the ancient Inca people were eating traditional foods found in that region: corn, fruit, nuts, meat, beans, and squash. Because it was at this like kind of turning point in history, he would find that some people from the same civilization, even like two brothers as an example, one would be eating the traditional diet and have no cavities, strong, well-formed teeth, no dis-ease, and then people even in the same family who had begun to eat processed sugar and flour and industrial modern foods started to have cavities, and their teeth were falling apart, and they had the beginning of degenerative health. So while there were differences among all these communities all over the world based on the foods that were available in that region, there were some commonalities among these super healthy civilizations of people. And this is what they were eating. All of these people were eating animal meat, fat, and organs. They ate nose to tail, not wasting anything from the life of that animal. They were eating raw, unpasteurized, and fermented dairy from grass-fed animals in their natural environment. They were eating fermented foods. They were fermenting fruits and vegetables and honey and meat. They were eating soaked, fermented, and sprouted grains and beans. They were eating honey and maple syrup. They were eating fruits, mostly in-season fruits, unless they dried them, and depending on the climate they came from. And they were eating vegetables. They were eating them raw, cooked, or fermented, usually with fat added, he noticed. So, as you can see, the proper human diet includes all the food groups, which when I was doing my exploration of the perfect diet, there are so many people that want to say like never eat meat or only eat meat or anything in between those two. There's nothing excluded in this proper human diet, but there's one point that the foods actually have to be prepared properly for the body to be able to digest them well. As you know, this is not how most people are eating today. It's also not how our government and our media encourage a healthy diet. I noticed a government-funded study that was reported recently that ranked industrial cereals like Lucky Charms as being higher nutrition value than beef and eggs. After learning about the proper human diet, that makes absolutely no sense to me. So this has created an epidemic level of chronic disease, which I see as allergies, asthma, inflammation. It's showing up as immune system challenges, and it's even showing up as genetic issues. There was another scientist I want to mention named Dr. Francis Pottinger, who in the 1930s noticed that cats fed an improper diet became really unhealthy. They also developed this like narrow palate and narrow jaw that Dr. Weston A Price was noticing. As each generation passed, the offspring of these cats became sicker and sicker. And after 3 generations, they could no longer produce healthy kittens. He didn't know about genetic expression at the time because there was no science around that, but that's what was happening. It was genetic changes from improper diet. So this is the interesting part though. When he returned these like 3rd generation sick cats back to their proper diet, it took 3 to 5 generations before healthy, fully vibrant kittens were born again. So that means if one of these sick cats was fed its proper diet, it could probably live to see its great grand kitty in full vibrant health. Now, if you're someone who is having pretty much any kind of health challenge, or your children are having health challenges, you might have already made the connection between what you're putting in your body and what's going on. Food, of course, is only one aspect of health, but it's kind of a big deal. If you haven't yet put the pieces together about your diet and the symptoms in your body, I guarantee you there's a connection and it's worth exploring. You might have found that you aren't able to tolerate even some of the foods on this proper human diet. A lot of people have trouble with dairy and grains and a lot of those foods. If that's the case for you, there's a good chance that you probably need to go on some kind of an elimination and healing diet to try to figure out what's going on with your body and start to clear toxins, pathogens, heavy metals, and some of the things that are causing inflammation, and also begin to really nourish your body so that it has all the vitamins and minerals and proteins and building blocks that it needs in order to thrive. You can head over to my website to download a copy of my top 10 favorite ancestral foods. And I also put some links below of some more books from Weston A Price and some other resources for people who want to geek out about this some more. And I'm also curious about you. What is your understanding of the proper human diet? Please put it in the comments below. I'm curious. And if you want to follow along for more, click the subscribe and the little bell. And yeah, I'll see you next time for more content to help you heal yourself, expand your consciousness, and become more of who you really are.